I'm not even going to try. Tēnā koutou, tēnei te mihi ka koutou, ko tā mai I tēnei rā, tēnei hui hui. Tautoko ana tō koru o tō mihi pōtaua ki te tangata whena, kia koutou ko tā mai. Antony Royal, as it says in the program, I'm sure you can read, Nga Pu Waea. I'm the chair of Nga Pu Waea, which is a group which was set up at the time that the Rural Broadband Initiative was being put together, where a group called Toro Waea had a go at the RBI initiative and put forward a proposal which wasn't successful, but it did manage to draw attention to some of the issues that we wanted to raise. And we had proposed at that stage that, for example, all marae were connected by high-speed fibre, and I'll come back to that in a sec. Nga Pu Waea at the time of the RBI being set up, which was reporting to the two ministers, the Minister of Māori Affairs, the Minister of Telecommunications. At the time when there was being all the terms of reference put together, they said, well, this UFB thing's coming along, why don't we get them to look at that as well? So we've got a wide remit to look at both UFB and RBI from a Māori perspective. And we've got four things that we're interested in. First of all, we're interested in connectivity. We want to know whether or not you're being connected. Who's been connected, who's not been connected, and if you're not connected, why aren't you connected? How can we get you connected? What are some of the options for getting connected? And we know that, you know, there's quite a bit of money going into both UFB and RBI, but it's not going to do the whole job. So for those bits that we're not getting the job, what can we do about that? What can we do about influencing the timing around rolling out UFB and RBI? Can we kind of manage things so that some of those important sites like health sites get covered? Are there some places that that perhaps we haven't thought about that would be useful to be connected? Then we want to think about affordability. It's all very well running fibre to the home, but if we can't afford to use it, then that's a waste of our taxpayers' money. Case in point is Cannons Creek. I live not far from Cannons Creek, which is in Porirua. I'm right on the edge of the suburb that will be connected first this year, so I'm very lucky, but a lot of the whānau who live 500 metres away will not be connected probably for another 5 or 6 years. We don't know this yet because, of course, it hasn't released, but my guess is the uptake won't be that great. And when they do get fibre in there, then how are we actually going to work it out so that they can afford to connect? So that's something that we're really, really interested in. Opportunity, which is about Māori investment in telecommunications, and there's been quite a bit of investment by Māori, including Te Taitokoro Networks, which is building a fibre network from Auckland to Whangarei. We've got investments in satellite, we've got investments in mobile with 2 degrees, we've got investments in many of these other wireless companies. And so it was going to look at what other things can we leverage off this. Included in there is jobs, and I'm going to come back to jobs in just a sec. And then the last thing we wanted to think about was around demand. What are we going to do when we connect our people together? Why would we want marae connected? And the answer is I actually don't know. I don't know what marae would do if they were connected, but I do know this: we won't find out unless we do it. So we've got a job to actually try and get some of these communities connected and let them experience and let them play with the stuff and discover those things. I've got one idea, and that's around civil defence. Marae around New Zealand would make excellent civil defence locations. The only thing they're missing are high-quality telecommunications. Other than that, they've got mattresses, they've got places to put the mattresses, they've got commercial kitchens, they have people who know how to feed huge amounts of visitors at the drop of a hat. And so they're well suited to do this, but they don't have telecommunications. I just want to talk about jobs, and it's pretty important for us. I just want to, from a Māori perspective, I just give you some stats. You know, there are about 6% unemployed in New Zealand, which is, 6%. It's been worse. It's been worse in previous years. But for Māori, the unemployment rate is 15.1%. which is not that flash. But what's even worse is that for 15 to 24-year-olds, it's 18.6%. That's almost 1 in every 5 young Māori is unemployed. And if you go to the jails, and you go and have a look inside the jails, guess what the percentage of Māori in those jails? 51% of Māori occupy those jails. And, you know, it doesn't sound flash. That's not flash. That's nothing that we should be proud of. Now, why is it important? Well, you know, in 2026, the average age of Māori in Pacific Island is going to be 23, and the average age of the Pākehā and Asian will be 46. So by the time that all of us here in this room are retired, guess who we're going to be relying on to pay our taxes? So here's an opportunity. Several billions of dollars is going to go into this infrastructure over the next several years. Why don't we use this billions of dollars going in to create jobs? And we started a discussion last year. We got Vodafone, the CEO of Vodafone, and we got the CEO of Chorus, and we had a number of the LFCs, and we had some training organisations, we had some ITO organisations, and we got them in a room and said, you know, what have you done about planning for jobs for all of this? And nobody's done anything. Sure, people have thought about it, and they've tried training programs, and there are cadetships, but we as a nation have not thought about leveraging that $2 billion into what that might mean for jobs. So right now we're building flat tack around the country. Guess where all the expertise is coming from? It's all coming from overseas. People are being imported as we speak to do all of the drilling and the construction work. And we're not talking about technical jobs in the sense of, you know, network engineers, etc. We're talking about putting holes in the ground. Now, I'd like to see some of these 15% of people who are unemployed actually looking to do some of that work. And there's a whole range of work that can be done. We ran a little experiment in a small but very important town in Otaki about how many people would be interested in working in construction. And within 2 days, in the small town of Otaki, we had 40 applications from young people who wanted to work in construction fibre. And the reason it wasn't more was because people thought that working on ultra-fast broadband was that you had to be some kind of really highly skilled technical engineer. And that's not the case. Most of the jobs are actually in construction. So that's the kind of conversation that we as Nga Pu Waea want to have with our telcos, with all those people involved in the industry. We want to challenge those industries, and we have had good responses, but we could be doing more, to try and, if every single one of them actually had in their contracts that there was a program of training people to be skilled up, and first of all get in construction, but later on we're going to need people who are going to be skilled at managing all of this and going to be as skilled in creating all of this content that we're going to be pushing down this line. So there's our challenge. Our challenge is to think about how we can leverage that several billions of dollars to make sure that New Zealand is a place that we all want to live in. Kia ora.